Hi everyone, and welcome to today's YouTube live event. I'm Meg and I'll be your host. I'm originally from Seattle, USA, and I'm currently completing my master's thesis for applied cultural analysis. With me today, I have Ru and Mari, if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hi, my name's Rugare. I'm from Zimbabwe originally, doing a master's in strategic communication, though about to graduate now, so it's my last semester.
Hi, my name is Mari. I'm from Georgia and I'm doing master's in European Affairs.
Perfect. Welcome. Thank you both so much for joining us today. During today's live event, we're going to share all of our best tips for your first few weeks at Lund to make sure you can start your journey here with a little bit of extra confidence. So before we get started, it would be great to know where everybody is joining in from today. So if you could put your country in the chat, I know we'd all love to see it. If you've been offered admission to Lund University, congratulations. That's fantastic. We understand that you might be feeling just a little bit nervous about arriving and curious about what to expect during your first few weeks with us, but don't worry, all of us have been in your shoes, and we are excited to share our own experiences about what that was like for us and our best tips to help you feel prepared. So I'll start with our very first question. What was your first impression or experience of Lund University when you guys arrived?
Oh, I loved it immediately. Honestly, yeah, because from the pictures, Lund seemed different. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as exciting as it is in real life. And the first week or couple of weeks that I got here, the weather was amazing, the sun, and it was really hot. Even Swedish people were confused. But yeah, everything was so beautiful. And yeah, it's just a beautiful town and a very good first impression.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I think it was a pretty strong first impression as well. So I was coming from Zimbabwe and I landed in Copenhagen first. And the international mentors all met us there. So it was my first ride across the bridge, which you'll get to do. It's very fun. But also it was my first, meeting my first friends, actually, on that ride across the bridge. And then getting to Lund, it is, like you were saying, Mari, such a beautiful sunny city. Mm. The thing that struck me, though, is, how kind people are. And genuinely, just, willing to help you if you ask questions, but also just there's such an ease about being here. So yeah, I really enjoy that.
Yeah, and just looking at the chat, you guys are doing great. We have people from all over: India, Mexico, Italy, England, Iran, Austria, Sweden. So quite the diverse group. We're very happy to have you. Keep utilizing the chat throughout this event. We will be pulling questions from you guys from the chat directly, so please feel free to put anything related to this topic in the chat and we'll answer as many as we can. But I think Ru brought up a really great topic, which is Arrival Day. Could you explain a little bit more what that is and what that entails for our new arrivals?
So Arrival Day is basically Lund's big welcome to you. You definitely want to, as far as you can, make it here on the day, because you have everybody greet you. For example, the mentors who can pick you up at the airport and help you get across the bridge, but also all the stuff that you need is in one place. So you get your bedding, you can get your cell phone, you can get hooked up with your Wi-Fi, and then you get driven to your new housing. So especially after a really long trip, you don't want to have to think about a lot more than you've already done. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Arrival Day is a really great way to start.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get to experience the Arrival Day because I was in Lund very late at night. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of students would probably, some students would have the same experience as me. So my advice would be to go to the international desk the next day. That's what I did, to get your Lund ID, student ID, also the brochure for the orientation week that we're going to talk about, and all the necessities that the university has prepared for you. Yeah, so the university cares about their students, not only on the arrival day, but in the next week as well.
And I think Ru also mentioned something that's really important, which is the International Mentor Group. And that is a group of people that basically, they're current students that volunteer their time for free to meet you. So it's both current international students as well as current Swedish students that oftentimes they're there for Arrival Day bare minimum. So they're the ones that are greeting you at the airport, blue t-shirts on, smiles on their faces, excited to get you pumped up even when you're jet lagged. But they do other events as well. So you mentioned orientation weeks, Mari. Could you talk a little bit more about those?
Yeah, so it's basically 2 weeks, if I remember correctly, of a lot of activities around the university. We had lectures, meetings, just walks, association fair, which is basically the place where you can get to know about the student nations and other organizations in the university. And it's a great week, a great opportunity to get to know people, but also get to know the university and all the opportunities that they offer. So the orientation week was when I met my first friends, and we're still very good friends until this day. So yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. Rue, did you get to do any orientation week activities?
Oh yeah, I did.
Share with the class.
I jumped right in, because a part of me was like, okay, I've heard that like Sweden or Swedes are a bit more reserved, so how is this going to work, right? Like making friends. But orientation week, it was everything. You have like a trip to IKEA. There's like this like concert that everybody, you have to get tickets, but like basically it's a way to meet other students, old and new kind of thing. And actually, like you're saying, Mari, I also met, in terms of sort of the bulk of what became my friends in those first 2 weeks, because you're learning stuff about like, okay, so Swedish culture, what are the traditions, even like how are your classes going to run in terms of like, so for example, I was in the US for my bachelor's, and it's very structured, right? Like you're sort of Monday to Friday, whereas here it's very self-management in a way. And so just getting to understand that. And then also, I think the biggest thing was like you're saying, like the getting to walk around. Like you get to see like different places in Malmo. There's different excursions essentially that you get to plug into. So you get to make this home pretty quickly.
Yeah. And I would say like the orientation week schedule, it's a lot of things that you can pick and choose what you feel that you need. So for example, one that I thought was kind of funny, they have like a talk with the Swedish police in case you need to, for example, learn the bike rules in Sweden. Do you have to wear a helmet? What are the rules with lights? Where can you bike around? Things like that. But then also, like you said, there's all sorts of fun events. So they had like a Swedish dinner my year where you could sign up and pay, I think it was like 75 crowns, and you could get a traditional Swedish meal, or the trip to IKEA to, get anything that you're missing for your housing. But then those international mentors that were there on arrival day, they also do something called the mentor program. So it's something that I encourage all students to join if they can. I was a mentee when I arrived, and then this last year I was a mentor for the new students. So it's 4 or 5 of those current students that basically get a group of 30 new students, and they plan events. So it varies depending on your group, but they do board game nights, they do hikes, they do tours around Lund, they go to the student nations together. So if you feel like a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit scared before arriving, that's kind of like a built-in group of friends that you have from your first day the minute you land, right? Yeah. Did you guys happen to do the mentor program at all when you were here?
Yeah, I did join some of the activities that the mentor group planned. I remember going to this games evening in the south part of the town. I don't know if you guys were there. Also a visit to IKEA, visit to the beach on Loma, which is a very small town, very close to Lund. Yeah.
It's cool. I did do the bike to the beach, but it was interesting because from the mentor group, I actually got connected to the student union. So I ended up kind of in the same time frame doing Novice Week with my student union, which helped because it's like, okay, so now I know you are all the social sciences people, but in terms of like when it comes to like the academic side, like that bargaining side, or like you investing in the quality of your own education and having a voice, that was something I didn't expect and I didn't even know actually existed. It just so happened that there were like a couple of people in that like mentor group that were also then part of the union.
Yeah. It's so funny how the connections kind of spider web with one another. So it's like maybe you don't make your best friends for the rest of time, during the mentor group challenge, whatever you're doing. But then also you have these opportunities to like be connected to other parts of the university that you otherwise might not have seen. So maybe you know a guy who knows a guy, and then you make friends, right? And I think it's really important to remember during those first few weeks too, everybody else is feeling kind of just as nervous and excited and sometimes as lonely as you are. So recognizing that, if you put a text into your mentor group chat and say, I don't have plans tonight, does anybody want to go to the botanical gardens or go grab a drink or go to this nation event? Almost always there's somebody else who's sitting in their dorm going, oh yes, thank God, an extrovert who reached out, like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So just realize that you have that support system,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I also see somebody asking about Lund ID. The orientation weeks are also when you'll be getting your Lund identification card, so your student card that has your cute little photo, or in some cases like mine, not so cute little photo that'll stick with you for the rest of your time at Lund. I have one student from Hui who says, "Hello, can you share about your experience with corridor housing for international students at Lund?" Housing is a very, very hot topic. Where do you guys live around? Not specifically, but like, what kind of housing do you guys have?
Yeah, I did apply for the the LU accommodation, but I ended up living in the private housing. So yeah, I was lucky. I had a friend who lived in Lund before, and she kind of advised me. Yeah, but have you lived in the LU accommodation?
Yeah, I did. So when I came in, initially I lived in Eden. So that's like international student apartments. Everything here is international though. But it's just like, that one doesn't have as much of a mix with like your Swedish counterparts or like other EU counterparts. But it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit easy because if you're non-EU, you kind of have a housing guarantee, so you're not going to start from scratch, right?
Yeah.
Looking for a place to stay and figuring out the system. But what I then did do after that was, okay, so lived in Lund, moved to Helsingborg because my campus is there as well. And I was like, in the winters, you will survive them, but I knew that like my energy...
You survive.
And you will thrive.
Yeah.
But I just knew that my energy was going to dip. And so I wanted to be closer to my campus. So then I moved to Helsingborg, again, with LU accommodation. But in both cases, corridor rooms. And so, yep, I had my own bathroom and my own bedroom, which is nice. But then I got to share the rest of the like apartment with, I think initially with 4 other people. And then in the second place was with 3. But it's, you share the kitchen, you share like the living room. And it was really nice because you get to do some social stuff at home, but you kind of feel less alone, right? Because like you were saying, everybody is in those initial stages, so you have a community that understands what you're going through, but you can also be that authentic with each other. So it's nice.
I agree. Private housing has a lot of advantages because you have more privacy, more space to yourself. But then I was lacking that, like the communication with people who go through the same things as you outside of the class and outside of these like social activities like at home.
It's so funny because I also live in LU accommodation and international housing. I've lived in the same Klostergården student house for 2 years now, so I'll be moving in June. It's crazy, but it's almost like it's studio apartments, so we all have almost adopted the Swedish way of just like not talking to each other, like because we have our own kitchens and bathrooms and everything. So I found, because I had chosen studio living, it wasn't something I had considered as much, but I find myself trying to find those connections elsewhere. So definitely something to think about when you're looking at where you want to live. Don't just look at the price, but think about who you want to interact with, or if you want to interact with people. In the end, I'm quite social on my own time, so I'm glad to have my own space. But if that's not you and you feel like you need that, then consider the corridor housing. Paula asks, how do I get into this mentoring group you were just talking about? If you're an admitted student, you will be getting more information about this via your email over the summer. I believe July is normally when you start to get information about the mentor group, so it's something that the university will reach out to you about. Someone asks, I'm a student from Europe and I can't seem to find housing. I think you can really help me with that. But is the welcome day with bedding, etc. also for EU students? Yes. Welcome day is for everyone. So yeah, the reason that non-EU tuition-paying students have that housing guarantee is because many of us require residence permits to be here, so we get here a little bit later than, for example, EU students or Swedish students who can kind of join the housing market a little earlier. But there are still plenty of options. So you mentioned private housing, Mari. Do you have any other ideas we can...
No. I mean, Facebook is the place where you need to be looking. But you also need to be very careful because there are a lot of scammers on the groups. But if you have someone here in Lund who you can ask to go and check out the place, that's good. If not, then you have to be very, very careful. But most of the people who find private accommodation is through Facebook, I feel like.
I agree with that. Like, Facebook here basically is your hookup for most things, that and Instagram. But also I found the student nations.
Yeah.
So, I'm part of Helsingkrona Nation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think when I came, they were actually building their new apartments. So they were making more space essentially for housing. They do sometimes work on a lottery system. It depends on the nation. But I'm just saying, if you kind of want this combination of social, a mix of everybody, but also you want to live in a sort of more communal kind of thing, then the nations. So student Lund, and that like you were talking about the student card, right? Like our official university ones, but there's student Lund, which then is your portal to all the other social and activities and
all your discounts.
And your discounts.
Your many student discounts. Thank you, Sweden.
Yeah, really.
And you mentioned the bedding, the arrival day as well. Of course, those bedding services that we talked about are actually something special to Lund. It's part of their sustainability initiative. So we have something called, what is it? The Circle Center? Circle Center, where graduating students, oftentimes the international students that are moving back home, will graduate and send all of their bedding to this center where they will clean it and package it up and then rent it to you for maybe like 100 crowns for a year. So your pillows and blankets and all of that. And that is a service available to everyone. So definitely still worth checking out Arrival Day. One student did ask, how do you organize everything with the special services from the university? You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is show up on that day. And it's between certain hours, so it's normally like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., I think, they have all these available on a certain day. It's only once per year, or once per semester, I should say. So all of that information is available on our website on the Arrival Day page. Additionally, for housing, we do have a page specifically for our EU students or our Swedish students who are a little worried about finding housing. We have a page with all of that information listed out, including the student nations, including the private housing on Facebook, as well as AF Bostäder, which is the largest landlord in Lund. So you can get basically onto a wait list or a lottery system with them as well. So we'll make sure we'll go ahead and link that in the chat so you guys have that information available. But housing, my biggest tip is just don't leave it for the day that you get here. Right? There's always one who leaves it for the very last minute, and we are in a student city.
Yeah.
It is quite difficult sometimes if you leave it to the last minute to find something within Lund, but we're so centrally located that there's always the option to live in one of the smaller cities around us or in the larger cities like Helsingborg and Malmö nearby.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see what else we have here. Orientation weeks we talked about a bit. Let's keep talking about making friends. So I know that is a little bit of an anxiety-inducing thought to completely uproot yourself into a group of new people. Did you guys have trouble making friends when you got here? Did you feel it was an easy process?
I think I was lucky because it was probably the second or the third day in the orientation week. I remember one of the nations had a sustainability walk. I met a group of people there. Then we went to the pub of the same student nation. And that's the main, like, kind of like a core friend group that I have until this day. But I understand that there could be this pressure that you have to meet people in the first couple of weeks and then you have to stick with them. But it's not true because along the way you get to meet new people, you get to experience new opportunities in the town or in the university. So no pressure. Everyone takes it differently. Everyone's pace is different. But but it's really not difficult to make friends in Lund because there are so many students and you can find so many people who have the same interests as you. So at some point you will meet your friends.
I agree with that it actually wasn't as bad as you might think. And I think one of the things is, for example, the Going app. So a lot of people, even like now while you're preparing or planning, you can start to meet people, whether it's based on your interests or there may be specific people who you've been referred to. So that's a really quick way to kind of get in early. But also, like Mari was saying, there's so many activities. I mean, whether you're into sports or you're into theater or you're into, I don't know, like name your pick, right? There's that. But I think the biggest thing is really it's no pressure. So go out as much as you want to or stay in as much as you want to. Because I found also with not just like my Swedish friends, but generally the culture in Lund it's a lot more laid back. And there's a lot of space for you to say what you really want. So if you want to drink, then drink, but you don't have to. There's always water available, even in a pub. If you want to go out dancing or like stay out late, you can and hop over to Copenhagen. But it's very balanced and it's very you-centered. So just be true to you, and you will also find people like you.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I think it's also worth adding that there's constantly new people coming in to Lund. So sometimes I know it's like oh my gosh, I didn't meet my best friend during orientation week. Like, what am I going to do for the rest of my 2 years here?
2 years.
There's always new people coming in. There's always invitations to new events and new clubs and new things. And I find even now, like this month, I've met new people that I'm like, I want to keep you in my life for like a very long time. So I think there's constantly things if you're looking for them, and you'll find your people, whether that be the board game people that don't really like to go out and party, whether that be the nightclub people who are, dancing it up at Gothenburg Nation. Like, there's always someone for everyone. Yeah. Jumping up to another topic that's coming up quite a bit in the chat, public transport, which is a super exciting one for me, who comes from a country where public transport is not as well established as it is in Sweden. They're asking about, how easy it is to transport to Lund from nearby cities, if there's any discounts for students, what the cost is like. Do you guys have experience with public transport here?
Yes. So in Lund we have a tram and buses who run on schedule. I think they're very comfortable, but they could be a bit more expensive for us. I mean, the student pricing is already discounted than a regular ticket, but still it's a bit much, I feel like, especially for me than the country that I come from. So I would advise taking a bike, buying a bike. This is something that probably 90% of the students do in Lund in the first couple of weeks. And Lund is very well connected to its surroundings, to Malmö, to Copenhagen, and to other small towns around it with the train, and it's really easy to get around.
I agree. I mean, get a bike. It's definitely the easiest because everything is within like 10 or 15 minutes, but also like all the bike paths, or if you want to honestly like bring your longboard, bring your skateboard, bring your
rollerblades,
bring it, you know, because everything is very well like paved and very well like signposted and stuff. So and it's separated, right, between like, okay, this is the side for pedestrians, this is the side for anything else not pedestrian. So that's pretty easy. And then like you guys were saying, the public transport is very I found it was more affordable than, for example, driving, because driving is very, not just the fuel, but it's the cost of like everything that goes into like maintaining your car and stuff. If you really want to, you can, but it's also, everything is small enough that you, I think, are wasting your time driving.
I don't know a single international student here with a car.
No.
Yeah, you do get, as you mentioned, Mari, like a 25% discount as a student on public transport through Skånetrafiken. So just to give you guys some numbers, I think a ticket to ride the tram, the train, or the bus within Lund is about 500 crowns per month. And if you want to add Malmö onto that, so you have a connection to Malmö, it's about 750 crowns per month, or 70 euros, give or take. So, depending on where you come from, that may be very affordable or not so affordable. So keeping that in mind. But as Ru said, almost everybody bikes here. I did not, it's the one part of Swedish culture I've yet to embrace. I don't own a bike yet, so you don't absolutely need to. I definitely lost a few kilos walking, so that's been a nice added bonus. It's a very walkable city, a very bikeable city, and everything is super well connected. So if you do need to, for example, live somewhere else, as you did, live in Helsingborg and maybe come back to Lund, it's definitely an option with trains leaving every 10 to 15 minutes oftentimes. Okay. All sorts of things. Let's see what we've got. So exciting. Ooh, somebody says, please give us more information about the different nations. It's so hard to choose one. We've all been there.
I mean, until this day, I don't think I've visited all of the nations, and it's really hard to choose, I know, right? And in on the association fair that I mentioned during the orientation week, it was really educational and informative to walk around and get to know all the nations, but also in the end I was tired and exhausted because all of them sounded really good and it's hard to choose. I'm a member of Kalmar Nation, which maybe is the most popular or the biggest in international students, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And the Kalmar has a pub. A couple of days in the week, I think 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
They prepare lunches, dinners. They have sittnings, which is another Swedish culture. It's basically fancy dinner.
Love them.
Yeah, so people love it. So yeah, that's my nation, and I really like going there. But also, don't feel like when you choose one you have to stick with it. You know, you can try others and engage in other activities.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty true, that you can pick one today and then like change your mind tomorrow, so you're not bound by the student nation. But I guess also, if you are wondering, it's not a fraternity, it's not a sorority. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So it's definitely much more social, and like different nations kind of focus on different things. So, you know, you might have, for example, like Wormlands is like very much more sustainability focused. You might have, like Helsingkrona does a bit of everything, but some of the, what you'd call like traditional nations, so like Lund, Göteborg, like they will have the sittnings, which are amazing fun. So if you really want to deep dive into like very Swedish experience, and those are really good to join. But it's also that you get I guess kind of like a more historical experience as well of the university. So it's modern meets the past. So I don't know how to say which one to choose. Go for it, whichever one you choose.
Yeah, and then you can choose it every semester. And change it every semester.
Yeah.
So.
I definitely switched. I mean, I joined a nation because they had an American breakfast and I thought it was funny. And like that's how I made my decision. But it really unless you want to live with the nation, in which case you should select the nation that you're hoping to live with.
Yeah.
The decision, frankly, doesn't matter, because you can go to any of the nation events, you can volunteer in any of the nations, and you can be in a leadership position for any of the nations, regardless of which one you're in. Yeah. It's just paying that student fee every semester that matters to making sure that you have access to these nations. So Skånska has like a great music scene if you love live music and concerts. Kalmar's all about the board games and like the basement pub vibes. Some of them have,
and the Pride Walk.
Yeah, the Pride Walk. Yeah. Like some of them have more focus on culture and arts. So talk with people, go to the career and the association fair, and just get a vibe for people. But again, like I chose my nation and then probably set foot in it twice and then changed to like another nation the next semester, and then I've been very active there. So don't stress over the decision. Yeah. No matter what, you have access to everyone. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, somebody said, what practical things did you do to prepare for life in Sweden? Did you guys read up on the culture? Did you go buy a better winter jacket? How did you guys prep?
Yeah, I tried to pack my suitcase in a smart way, but it was not at all smart when I got here. And when I experienced Swedish winter, I was like, well, I need to get a new jacket, even though I brought 2, but none of them were warm enough. I don't know, what did I don't remember. Yeah, of course, just reading about Lund and Swedish culture in general. But I feel like when you get here, you eventually learn everything you need to know. Don't stress about knowing stuff before you know.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, not to say don't be prepared, but your experience will be here, so come ready for your experience, if that makes sense. But the thing about clothes, so there's a Swedish saying, I'm not going to say it in Swedish, I'll butcher it, but there is no bad weather, only bad clothing. So you do, because there are the 4 seasons, right? So you're going to dress for winter, for spring, for summer, but essentially most of, especially your winter gear, you can get here. And thrifting, vintage shopping, secondhand shopping is a big thing, based on that sustainability mindset, right? Of reduce, reuse, recycle. Yeah. And also, there's so much, like Meg was saying earlier, like students coming in and coming out. So Facebook Marketplace is always something to get from somebody if you are looking for it. The secondhand stores, there's always all kinds of things going on. But then in terms of maybe a more sort of practical thing for prep, I think for me, one of the things, well, two things I knew was it's going to be probably very hard to find a hairdresser and like get like hair products in Sweden.
Yeah, depending on what you need, definitely. Yeah.
I did eventually find like there's an African store and stuff, but it was very expensive. So just to say, pack as much of like your whatever's your personal care stuff, your hair, your skin stuff, right? As much of that as you can, and especially if there's also like foods that you're gonna miss. That there's gonna be a lot of food you're gonna get to experience here, but there was just some of it that I was like, I'm not gonna go home anytime soon, and there's not a whole lot of Zimbabweans coming here. So pack your sentimental stuff, pack foods you would miss, pack like any skincare, hair care stuff. And then kind of everything else you build as you are here. Yeah.
That's a pro tip. Like pack a taste of home. There's things that I simply cannot buy in Europe, and I believe it's because they're probably illegal due to like the red dye 40 inside of them, like hot Cheetos. Okay. And those are things that I pack because I know I'm gonna miss them, or like mac and cheese, like little things that I'm like, when you do get homesick, and you will get homesick, inevitably it will happen no matter where you move to. Like it's just part of moving abroad. Having that little taste of home is great. Also a great way to make friends. Coming with candy from your country is an amazing way to make friends, especially at the beginning. I know I brought a bunch of like saltwater taffy when I met my class for the first time, and that was kind of my, hello, I'm your token American, like let's chat. We're getting lots of questions about bikes. Did either of you purchase a bike when you moved here?
Yes.
Mari, how much did your bike cost? Was it difficult to find one?
It's not difficult to find one, but maybe it's difficult to get a good one, and not so expensive one at the same time. Yeah. But there are shops around the town, even in the center, very close to the central station that you can visit, and also Marketplace on Facebook is a lot of friends that I know bought their bikes from there. I would say on average maybe €100. If you want to get a good bike, but yeah, and I think it depends, right? Like the normal pedal bikes, definitely on the cheaper end, definitely much more available. You can get like e-bikes and get really fancy with it if you really want to. But I would say I agree, like go with a cheaper bike because it's super safe here, but like in any place, right? Keep your wits about you. It could get stolen. So make sure you also have locks. And the thing too with the bikes is when you get it, let's say you're getting it from a seller, make sure you ask them what there's a sort of insurance or like a certification code is on your bike, so that in the event that it goes missing, you can always say to the cops, hey, this is it. And they will actually find it in most cases. At the same time, you don't want to get scammed. And like when you're buying off of Marketplace or whatever, so you do want to have sort of some of those authenticity checks. So getting that like certification, I think it's a certification code. There's another word for it, but basically get that and you should be fine. And the shop that I bought mine from, for example, had the insurance period for like a couple of months, and if something goes wrong, they fix it for free. So make sure to ask for it. And maybe it's possible to get it.
That's very nice. A little extra insurance on top of that. My pro tip for people is always just, like you said, you can find bikes for quite cheap in Lund. Spend as much on your locks as you do on your bike, and you will be okay. If you spend 500 crowns on your bike, invest in a couple of locks, and you'll be fine. But as you said, Rue, like in any big city, I say the only thing you have to fear in Lund is if you are a bike. so no stress there. Okay, we have some questions about jobs and working as a student and career fairs, which I think is all questions that I had before coming here. And I know Rue and I are both graduating now and starting our career search in Sweden. So did you guys get to experience any career fairs through your programs or through your student unions while you were here?
I did. So I study politics, so there's not many opportunities for a student, and especially in a different country where you don't speak the language. But there were a couple of big organizations on the fair, and it's very helpful if you want to get an internship, especially. I would say it's probably easier. But I was lucky because we are all student ambassadors, but through that program I got to know about this job opportunity here at university. It's a part-time job. So I would say, yeah, you can make a little extra money, pocket money, but don't be depending on it, because if you don't speak Swedish, it's really difficult to find jobs, or it might take months.
Yeah.
I agree with that learning the language definitely gives you an advantage, but it does take a bit of time to learn Swedish, because remember, when you come, you are basically a full-time student, so you're really focused on your program. That said, one of the ways, if you're looking at like sort of the job market, is ask your program coordinator, because if they do have an internship semester or section built into your program, then that's something that you can go to them, and they have a lot of sort of career services internally in your department that you can refer to. But it's also not uncommon, right? Like if you wanted like a side gig, like the student jobs maybe would be something like working in a bakery, or you could I don't know, do some tutoring, things like that. So there are options, but again, yeah, like Mari's saying, don't depend on it, because it's not going to be like a full-time thing that will give you a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
But I actually was thinking about you, Meg, because
Okay.
yeah, she inspired me. But there's what's called International Citizen Hub here in Lund, and they're really great. Like they plug you in to like meeting each other, but also the job market, help you with some of your career prepping and planning. There's sort of these, I don't know, workshops and expo days. So anything like that, I think plug into, and that should help.
Yeah, networking is a really big part of finding a job in Sweden. So don't waste your time as a student. Use your internships, use your connections through professors, talk to people, go to career fairs. And it's a good way to kind of get your fingers in the pie, as we say. But as you have both mentioned, like it can be quite difficult to find a job as a student. We are expected to have 40 hours of work a week, not necessarily sitting in class, but doing group work, reading, preparing for lectures, things like that. So come with the plan as if you will have no extra income, and then if you do get a part-time job, it's a happy added bonus, right? I think I freaked out a few people with my comment about being afraid of your bike, because now we're having questions about safety in Lund and things like that. Have you guys ever felt unsafe in Lund, walking around in the dark or at night or coming back from... No,
really. It's really safe here in Lund.
Yeah.
I agree. And like I'll call my mom, because we have a 9-hour time difference back home. So I'll call her when I'm walking home at 1 or 2 in the morning, and take your headphones out of your ears. Like, what are you doing? But Lund and Sweden in general are just like a really safe place to be.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is, on one hand, the culture, right? Like people really respect like your boundaries, like personal space, and like consent in relationships, right? So there's no pressure, but it's like people do really respect that privacy side. But also, I think it's just because Lund is a university city, right? Everything feels kind of cozy, kind of small, and there's always something you can go into, or someone you're going to see, or somewhere that's familiar. So I don't think I've ever felt afraid or like something's going to happen to me.
No.
Yeah, and when it comes to bikes and biking and walking, you have like extra lane for bikes everywhere, and the drivers are very careful because they know that there are a lot of students biking around. So I've never felt any kind of danger.
And we are getting some more general questions, but specific toward programs. It's hard for us to generalize about these program questions in the chat because each program is very unique. So the average age, I know I have students in my program that are from 21 to like 45. The size of the programs, my program is 18 people. You guys have?
20 people.
I think we 30.
And some have up to 60 depending. So all of these questions that you're asking are great, and I really encourage you to get online, get on your program page, and there will be a program contact if you have specific questions regarding, maybe like class sizes or entry requirements or things like that. But we also all volunteer for something called the LU Ambassador Program, so the Student Ambassador Program. One of you want to share what that is, maybe a little bit?
You start.
Student ambassador program is basically just students. So when you become a student at Lund, you will receive emails asking you to apply if you'd like. And then if you're selected, there's how many students per couple of dozen?
For the...
I don't know how.
In the program?
Yeah.
Oh,
100,
I think
100
we're like between 90 and 100 students.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the program.
Yeah. And so basically, for example, this podcast or the YouTube Live and other podcasts, you will see us being in it.
Yeah.
We're very active. Yeah. And we basically help me.
We answer the questions that aren't on the web page, basically.
Yeah.
So you may find that there's a student from your program. So if you're interested, for example, in studying applied cultural analysis, my face will be on the program webpage so you can talk to me. Or you can also sort by, for example, country. So if you're from Zimbabwe and you want to ask her, like, what spices can I not find in Sweden? She can answer those questions for you. And it's kind of just a fun, candid chat. So we have so many questions in the chat here today that, we're trying to get to all of them. But if you feel that you want that more personal experience and want to have a one-on-one chat, we will post the Unibuddy link in the comment section here, and we really encourage you that we volunteer our time to do this. This is our bread and butter. We love talking to you guys, so please message us if there's any questions that you want to ask about.
Yeah, and like you're saying, I mean, we're your first contact as like real faces, real people who have some experience living here. We're not trying to sell you anything. So you can at least like trust that you're going to get some information of like what it's like on the ground. But also, if you are thinking about it sort of as something you want, whether it's socially, you want to build a great like group of friends, or you are thinking about your next steps as it pertains to work, and that you're going to build so many skills, right? Your communication skills, your intercultural skills, your presentation skills. So it's easygoing, but it's a really fun way to like develop as a person and as a career person, I guess, in the future.
Yeah. There is one thing that I kind of want to jump back to just because we touched on it a little bit, but I think it's something that a lot of people are probably wondering about, and that is learning Swedish and whether or not you absolutely need to know it to be here. So what are your experiences with Swedish language? Pratar ni svenska? Do we speak any Swedish?
Well, no, I don't speak Swedish. I started and I'm still doing Duolingo here and there, but you really don't need to speak Swedish in Sweden, or especially in Lund at least, from my experience, because everyone speaks English very well, and they're also... They want to speak English with you. It's not like they are hesitant or something. So, you can definitely stay here for as long as you like and not have to speak Swedish. But then, as I mentioned, like if you want to start a job or a career, maybe you have more opportunities and more chance if you speak Swedish.
There is also what's called Swedish for Immigrants, so SFI. So that's what I'm taking now, and it really helps because it's like you learn the basics, your ABCs and like greetings, and they kind of build up with the grammar. So in terms of your sort of everyday life, like when announcements are being said on the train, or like there's signs in the shop, right, you'll be able to kind of make your way around. But honestly, you don't have to learn Swedish. You can also use I use Google Lens actually to like translate whatever I can't figure out, but there's always like, even in like say your courses, if there is something in Swedish, you can go to your program coordinator or like your class rep, and usually there's an English version, then you can refer to that, so you'll be fine.
I'm a language nut. I really love learning languages, so I started learning Swedish before I came here. I don't speak perfect Swedish, but definitely enough to get around, and I find that like while you don't have to, I always joke everybody here speaks better English than I do. While you don't have to learn Swedish, especially like you guys have said, if you plan to stay, definitely like you speak to somebody's heart when you speak their native language, and it will help you integrate in better. But Lund is such a large international university, and you guys are probably, if you're tuning in here, applying to English taught international programs, so it's definitely not a necessity. Don't let that stop you from applying. But the Swedes are quite happy to chat. If you say, I'm learning Swedish, they go, okay, why? But great, like let's talk. So don't stress about that too much. Let's see if we have any other good questions in the chat. Somebody did mention Target, which is an American-centered question. I don't know if you guys have heard of Target. They're asking for the best stores in Lund. So that's a great question, especially when you first arrive and you really don't know any of the different stores or options here. So do you guys have any favorite, for example, grocery stores or spots to stock up during your first few weeks?
My favorite grocery shop, I would say Lidl, because it's the cheapest and very student friendly, the budget friendly. Sorry.
Yeah.
But there's only two in Lund. But you have Willys, you have Ica, Coop. You have so many options. And in general, grocery shops here are so good. You can get anything you like if you're vegetarian, if you're vegan.
Yeah.
You have so many options. As for like the shops, maybe clothing, I don't know. The secondhand shops. There's a big one. Well, there's this shopping center in Lund, which is called Nova, and also a very fun place to go and hang out with your friends and spend some time. And close to it, there's a big second-hand shop for clothing, for all the necessities you might need for your house.
Erikshjälpen, right?
Yes. I forgot the name.
Yeah. That's, one of the big things, especially for kidding out, whether it was like my room or just like stuff that I wasn't going to like get super bonded to, Erikshjälpen. Like curtains, chairs, anything really. Lighting stuff. That was really big. But in terms of food, I really like Coop. They are a bit more on the expensive end, but what I appreciate is you can join in as a member, and it's like I don't know if
like
everybody...
a co-op.
It's a co-op, exactly. So you kind of know that you're supporting like local economy by shopping at Coop and being part of that. But again, like you said, Ica and Lidl are really, really good. I think it's also, if you get the opportunity, especially like when you come in August and that, it'll still be kind of warm. So there's a lot of farmers markets as well. So that's a really good opportunity to get your shopping in and get some fresh stuff.
Yeah.
And let's not forget IKEA.
Oh my God, IKEA.
Can't go wrong.
We don't have it in Lund, right? There's a small, very tiny one.
But you can hop the bus and in 10, 15 minutes you're in Malmö. So.
Yeah.
But be prepared to like spend the day. Like IKEA will like pull you in.
There is nothing more humbling than like walking back with the two giant blue IKEA bags, like one over each shoulder, and getting on the train and being like, oh, okay. How much money did I just spend? But yeah, for grocery stores, like that's, my European friends always laugh at me, but I'm like, oh, it's so walkable. It's such a walkable city. There's a grocery store on every corner here. So my personal favorite is Willys because it's cheap. Willys is the cheapest grocery store I have found. Ica is great for kind of an all-around. Target, which is kind of like a combination of a grocery store plus clothes plus like everything you could ever want. Kitchen supplies concept is not as much established in Sweden, so you might have to go to a few different shops, but that's the fun part, right? Seeing what there is to buy.
Just a thought actually too with the shopping. Especially if it's like your toiletries, household stuff, Normal, oh my God, that is my best friend.
Incredible.
Makeup, normal.
I can never leave the country because of Normal.
Yeah,
just imagine a maze filled with, you don't even know. That's the fun part. You don't even know. You just walk through and everything's so cheaply priced.
It's brilliant. Yeah. So Normal, and then also Flying Tiger, Copenhagen.
Yeah.
And that's really nice too, like if you're looking for little cozy, whether it's gifts or for yourself, because make yourself as cozy as you can. Like make your friends as early as you can while it's warm and everybody's got energy to be out and about. And then when winter comes, then cozy up and have your lights and have your candles and have your soft blankets and stuff. So
And we have quite a few questions here about phone services as well. So I think it was Rue that mentioned on arrival day, normally there's at least one phone service provider there. I think it was Telenor last year, for example. If you have a physical SIM card, it's quite easy for most of the shops here to go in, buy a physical SIM card, and then just load up credits as you need to. If you were like me and you have an eSIM, so not the physical SIM card anymore, it can be a little bit more complicated. So specifically for the question in the chat, I would recommend keeping your phone service if you can, if you have an international edition that you can put on even just for a week while you figure things out. It would be helpful. But I find the phone plans are quite affordable here, so you can get like 10 gigs for maybe 50 crowns a month if you need to, so you can load up as you need. Okay, I think that's a really good point to continue on with. I will say we only do have 10 minutes left at this live event, so we do have time for some final questions, which we're getting through in the chat, but keep posting them. We're trying to get as many through as we can. Speaking on, you said making things cozy, Rue. I know some people have heard that Sweden can get a little dark, a little depressing during the winter. Did you guys feel that you struggled with that, or how did you kind of combat that to make sure that you were having a good experience in December like you were in August?
I mean, for sure, take your vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
If you can take it even now before you leave home, absolutely do it. But when you get here, do take it, because your mood and your energy, you'll feel it shift because the weather will shift as well.
Yeah.
But again, I think it really does help to then, once you're in Sweden, right, do your clothes shopping, because the warmer you are, or like the more prepared you are for whether it'll rain or be windy, you'll feel better feeling warm and dry.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the things Lund did so well, which I appreciated, was in the orientation weeks and then sort of the times that like the weather's starting to change, there were all these like workshops and lectures to then let you in on it. Like, this is how to survive and thrive. This is how to like, you know, the options of places you can go and what you can do, right? You would think because it's cold, oh, you're going to stay inside. But like, Swedes are fearless. Like, it doesn't matter what the weather's doing. You can always be outside. There's something you can do, or just keep yourself active, whether it's in the gym or you're taking walks or you're riding your bike. That helps a lot. But I also did find that making, and you'll experience it when you get here, this musit, like making yourself really cozy, like your candles, because it's dark outside, but the lights feel like a fairy tale. It compensates for a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and fika. And
Yes, definitely. And I would say just hanging out with your friends, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to have plans ahead. You just spontaneously decide to gather and maybe bake something or cook something and have a dinner together. And fika is such a big part of Swedish culture. You can have it multiple times a day. Go to there are so many cozy, cute cafes in Lund. Also, we mentioned like pubs, bars, restaurants, or just hanging around with friends. It's a good way to handle a little bit of depression, but it's not depression. I mean, if you handle it, it's not depression, right? But also keep in mind that spring will come soon, and spring is very beautiful, and we have long days and
the first like semi-warm day in Lund is always my favorite every year. It doesn't have to be like, doesn't even have to be warm, it just needs to be sunny. It could be like 8 degrees Celsius, and still the Swedes will like go and lay themselves out against Domkyrkan, against the giant cathedral, just like facing the sun like turtles, or lay out blankets in the botanical gardens and like sunbathe, even though it's really not warm enough to be sunbathing yet.
No, I think around that time you can tell who's Swedish and who's international. Because everyone else is still freezing, but
But I agree with both of your points. Like, they find a way to make this time really cozy, and the pace of life kind of slows down with the season. So things get slower, and like you have all of these beautiful Christmas decorations up in the windows, like beautiful stars and lights and things like that. So it is, we almost all gaslight ourselves. It's a cozy time. Like, you will get used to it, and there's definitely ways to combat that kind of like down feeling in that season. Okay, let's see what else we have, just the last few. Do you guys have easy access to different cultural foods in Sweden? Have you guys been able to find a taste of home here?
Well, I have not, but I try to compensate by cooking myself, so I think I've become a better cook. But I know that there are a lot of different restaurants from Middle East, from India, Asian food. There's a shop for Asian food, so
they love Thai food in Sweden. Thai food specifically.
I think there are a lot of variety of restaurants you can try.
And as you say that too, it's Lund itself has like a bit of a mix, but if you do want maybe more fusion food, more ethnic food, Malmö is a vibe. They have a food festival also, so if you do want to kind of try bits and bobs, you can do that there. If you want even more sort of international food, it's like a very short ride from here to Copenhagen, so you have your options, essentially. But in terms of shopping, at first I didn't find a whole lot, but then there's like an Indian store, and then there's a couple of African stores that I then like got introduced to, and I did then find some stuff recently. So I actually made some Zimbabwean food over the weekend, and that makes a difference. But I would say if it's like very specific, like spices or like cereals or like dried like fruit, for example, because we have like dried mangoes is a big thing back home.
Yeah.
Bring that with you, because it might be more difficult to find that here. But I think it's also, in some ways, just come open-minded, right? You're going to get to try Swedish food, you're going to get to try other food, you're going to meet students from other places. So any of those sort of potluck, bring and share dinners, yeah, do those.
It's so funny because when I moved here, I definitely was like, okay, I have to bring everything with me. I brought like my pro-whitening toothpaste, and you know, like I brought certain spices, things that I was just not sure about. And then every time that somebody either visits me from the States or I go home, I find myself making these small, I don't need to buy pro-whitening toothpaste from the States, like they have this toothpaste brand in Sweden, or like oh, I don't need to bring this specific spice because they have this swap out here. So slowly it's this like, this acculturation of like, okay, I'm getting used to how things are, and maybe they're a little bit different, but like embracing that and getting used to it. I will never get used to going to the Malmo International Food Festival and having the American stands be like deep fried mac and cheese balls, but fair enough, like it's okay. We are down to about 4 minutes now, so I think the very last question that I would like to have us answer for these students is, what is like a pro tip or something that you would recommend for students, keeping on topic of like how to integrate well, how to have a good experience when they arrive? Something you wish you had done differently or something that you're glad you did, both?
Be open-minded and open to, and say yes as much as you can. Of course, not to everything, but yeah, just be open-minded and do as much as you can, or be as active as you can, but don't stress yourself too much.
Yeah.
I think, you know, with that, you're so right. Be open-minded. And also, you can meet people in real life, which is great. But it's also really possible to meet great people and have great relationships online. Whether you're gaming, whether it's like the apps, you know, like Going we talked about, you might find others as you go. That was one of the things I don't think I engaged as much online initially, because I did have that mindset, like you meet people face to face, but Sweden offers you so many more avenues. So don't be afraid, I guess, to like meet people online. You're not going to get catfished, not really, not here.
And again, take that leap. Like there's so much to do and so much to experience here, and nobody knows you when you come to Lund. So you can be whoever you are, or you can reinvent yourself. I mean, we have like an extreme sports club. If you want to be the person that goes bungee jumping, join that club and do it. Like if you want to start with a sports team, or you want to start going to the gym and training, which the Swedes love training. They love training, and that is part of the culture I'm still embracing. Like there's so many possibilities and so many opportunities, and as a student you may never have the time and the ability and the discounts again to be doing some of the things that are offered here for you. So take advantage of all of it, and just realize that it's your life to live, and like everybody is kind of feeling those same feelings of who am I and what am I doing here, and what do I want to be. So don't stress it too much. I see a lot of people saying, they're excited about coming to Lund. Questions about if this video will be saved later. Absolutely it will. This will be posted on our YouTube channel, so you guys can come back, and if you're not tired of our voices, listen to us talk about all of this again. But once again, I will repeat, we are all available, as well as our fellow LU student ambassadors over Unibuddy. So if you have any questions about that, please send us a message, shoot us a question. Like that's what we're here for. But we hope that we have helped you feel a little more prepared for your upcoming journey to Lund University and to life in Sweden in general. If you're a prospective student just tuning in and you're considering applying to Lund University, or you've been accepted, remember that our global recruitment team, so the office that we're in right now, is always here to support you. So you're welcome to reach out using the link in the description for this video for any questions that you may have about study opportunities or the application process. There is a contact form available for you. So we wish you all the very best, and we can't wait to see you when you come to Lund University this August. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Have a good one.